This is Striking Gold. I'm Sterling Sincotta. Rebecca Frizelle, welcome to Striking Gold.
Thanks, Sterling. Great to be here.
Thank you so very much for coming. You're the newly appointed owner of the Gold Coast Titans, along with your husband Brett, which we'll get into soon. But let's go back. Let's go back to the Rebecca Frizelle story. Let's go back to where you grew up.
Okay, well, I was born in Canberra. Look, this is going to put people to sleep.
No, that's all right.
I was born in Canberra in 71 and my parents, obviously Dad was an Air Force pilot. That's why we were in Canberra. And then their marriage failed and my mother decided as a single mum to come north with 4 kids. And she just thought there'd be more opportunity on the Gold Coast than there was in Canberra.
Wow, okay.
Which I think we're all eternally grateful for. No offence to the Canberrans out there, but the Gold Coast has a little bit more to offer. And we've never looked back. Arrived here in 1978.
Right.
And I was fortunate enough to attend Surfers Paradise State School, then followed up by Mudgeeraba State School.
Right, okay.
And then a couple of years at Merrimack High before I went to boarding school in Toowoomba.
Okay, boarding school in Toowoomba.
Yeah.
Is that to finish 11 and 12, was it?
It was. That was the intention. Well, it was actually 9 through to 12.
Oh, okay.
But being the Gold Coast girl that I was.
How long did you last?
Not long. I ran away.
Did you? Well, literally ran away.
Literally ran for the McCafferty's bus line. Back home.
Right.
And
in year 9 or 10?
It was end of year 10 and I ended up finishing my senior certificate back on the coast.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I was done. Boarding school after growing up on the beaches here and having that great, beautiful life of the coast. And it was no offence to the Toowoomba boarding school. It's just a very different life.
And why Toowoomba? Do you remember why?
I actually think it was about the availability of boarding.
Okay.
And Toowoomba's also really well renowned for their quality of schools and education.
Yeah.
So I think that's what my mother's thinking was.
Okay. And did your brothers and sisters follow?
No, they all ran away. Well, my younger sister came. She got out as well.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like a jailbreak, doesn't it? Boarding school then was very different to what it is now.
Yeah.
But my older brother and older sister were already living out of home. So I think that's why we ended up there too, because Mum was doing a bit of travelling.
Right. And then so after school, did you head to uni?
That was the big plan, Sterling. I was going to go to uni and I was going to study law.
Okay.
Always wanted to be, my ultimate game was to be a criminal barrister. That's where I saw myself heading.
Right. Where'd that come from?
I love to debate. I love to have good discussion. And I do believe everybody's entitled to a defence.
Okay.
And I think, the rule of law and the way the legal system works, I think is incredibly interesting. So that always appealed to me. So I needed to work, though, to fund university and I'd always had a passion for cars ever since I was a little kid. Always had Matchbox cars, never had doll. Yeah, I would spend hours. I know exactly. I had a little blue Celica. I had a gold Porsche. I had a Sandman wagon and spent hours on weekends in the dirt with some Matchbox cars. Yeah, loved it. And so my older sister, and I knew every car model on the road. I don't know why. I just did. And a job came up for a receptionist at Southport Mazda in 1990 and my older sister said to me, hey, there's this job going. You're looking for a job while you study. You should go and apply. It's in cars. And I did and got the job, loved it, forgot all about my studies and liked earning some money. Not that it was a great deal as a receptionist, but I started to fall in love with the industry and that's where I started.
Right, okay.
Southport Mazda was a very small business then, though.
Well, how big was it then?
There's probably 9 staff when I started.
Right.
We used to close at lunchtime on a Saturday and most other days.
Right.
It was pretty sleepy back then. I think we used to deliver about 15 cars and it was a lot of fun.
Right. And whereabouts comparatively to where it is now?
Oh, the group now is over 1,000 staff representing I think 24 franchises. Yeah, we certainly grew with the region. Yeah. But the thing about the motor industry is it's such an interesting industry. It changes every day. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you communication. It teaches you finance. It teaches you so many marketing, sales, so many different skill sets that are transferable in other careers. So I was really lucky to have got a start with my father-in-law, James Frizelle.
Yeah, and so at the time it was Frizelle's?
It was just Southport Mazda.
Southport
James
Mazda.
had bought the business off a fellow. James had come up from Sydney to retire. This was his retirement business. And
wow.
I know, that went well for him.
Yeah, right.
And he's such a humble man. He's a good man. And, we always got on really well. And he always valued people that were prepared to work hard and give it a go. And so he'd always try and develop you in his own way. So I was really lucky to have started out with James.
And so how long were you on the front desk for?
About 2 years, and then he started giving more opportunities. And if you think back...
So you're 19, roughly? Yeah, 19,
yeah. Who would later become my husband started, Brett. He started 2 weeks after me.
Oh, did he?
My joke is to his dad saying, hey, give this kid a job, he's got talent.
Really?
That's not what happened.
What did he start as?
His background was always property. He'd been commercial property.
Right.
He's a valuer by trade. And James asked him up to the Gold Coast to join the family business. Brett was already in hooker projects in Sydney and loving his life down there.
So he's a couple of years older, is he?
Yeah, he's 7 years older than me.
7 years older,
yeah.
right, okay.
And so we worked together for 2 years. We became best of mates.
You didn't know each other before?
No. And I'd set him up on blind dates with my girlfriends.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I was seeing someone else. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then I resigned to go travelling overseas. And he said, well, Beck, I've always wanted to ask you out, but I don't agree. You know, it's a small business that we go out together. But if you're leaving, I'd like to ask you out because we just used to get on so well.
Oh, wow.
And anyway, that backfired, didn't it? Because I'm still there.
So you didn't take the holiday?
No, we ended up going together.
Oh, okay.
We've been together ever since. So we celebrate 30 years married in Feb.
Wow.
And been together, I think, 36 years or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and worked it together every day, which is not always easy.
Yeah.
But we're a good yin and yang. We're a good balance for each other.
So what skills does he possess that you may
learn from
and vice versa?
He's really strategic. He's very calm. He's measured. He thinks about everything, where I can be a bit of a bull at a gate.
Right.
Yeah.
So you like to create. And
I create a lot of racket
later.
Around me, etc. Yeah, exactly. And he's very good at detail and just he's the safe harbour in a storm.
Right.
You know, he's always thinking about it, how it's going to be long term, where I might be going, like I'm pinging off the walls on different things. And he'll go, no, Beck, settle. And he's really good like that. And he'll see the gaps or he'll come up with the solutions. So it kind of works really well together. Right.
So back, let's stay in the time. So around you sort of 2 years in the business, at what stage did the business start to scale and start to, whether it was acquiring new dealerships or bringing in, new brands?
It's a good question. I've actually got a Gantt chart of how that happened for when we...
was it a strategy or did it sort of fall into your lap a little bit?
I think it's the same with any business, and you probably find this, Sterling. You can't stay the same. You can't stay the same size. You've either got to retract or grow, but you can't maintain the status quo because you'll lose market share. So I think that happens organically, and you seize opportunities. And so we saw that the coast was growing and decided to seize those opportunities and take risks. And I think that's what James instilled in us. Take calculated risks and you will usually work your butts off to make them work. So, we mortgaged absolutely everything to our eyeballs and you work like crazy to pay it down, to get it there. And this was in the days of interest rates at 15, 16%. So it was pretty scary times. But Brett's father was the same and he was always a big believer in property. Brett's background as a property valuer also helped the business enormously, bringing those skills together to identify great sites. And one thing about being in the car...
So you're buying the sites?
Yeah.
And was that a prerequisite? You'd never go into anything that you...
Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing about car industry is because of the scale of the objects that we sell, we need big sites. And so... it forces you to have big land holdings, which is a good thing.
Yep.
And we were lucky through that. So the business slowly acquired its sites. It took on brands, like it took on Hyundai when Alan Bond was bringing it in as the distributor.
Right.
Yeah, a
Wow.
long time ago. And that was
So it was an unknown brand.
unknown. No one was going
Asian
there.
made.
Yeah.
You had no idea if it was going to work.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Mazda wasn't even popular, nor was Toyota, if you can imagine it then. So
Yeah.
imagine bringing in a
Yeah.
Hyundai then.
Yeah.
And the, I guess, prejudice that was against it.
It's Chinese, right? Is it Chinese?
Korean.
Korean.
Yeah. And now look at the behemoth that it
Yeah.
is. It owns Kia. So he took, James, in those early days, took risks and backed them, and risks are costly. And you've got to have faith in a business and keep funding it till it's on its feet. And he did, and he worked hard. I'm a big believer in nothing happens without hard work. You've got to put the time in. People say to me, what do you think about a work-life balance?
Is there such a thing?
There isn't. You just work bloody hard until you get there, and then hopefully you'll get some balance later on, and you're still alive to enjoy it.
Yeah, very true. And I think that's something that the not kids, but that younger generation is that's a foreign language
Totally.
for them to even hear those types of things.
It's funny. Our kids grew up with us. I worked full time. The most I ever took off after each baby was 2 weeks.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
always. I was fortunate in that I could bring our baby to work.
Yeah.
But always, I probably would have liked to have had more time. But when you've got a family business and a lot of people counting on you, you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Kids had come to work till they were at an age where they couldn't, which was about 10 months. And then after that, they were in daycare.
Yeah.
But our kids learnt that we worked hard, and they couldn't come first in everything, and they didn't. But what I didn't appreciate was how much they were learning through osmosis. And
they have?
Oh, yeah. And how much they appreciate.
How old are your kids now?
One's about to turn 28, one's 26, and one's 23.
Okay. And are they in the business?
No, all three
part of the
are in Sydney. All three studied law and commerce.
Okay.
Yeah, and which was interesting they did that, but they're all using it differently.
Yeah.
But they've all worked. They all worked on supermarket at Ferry
Yeah.
Road.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Oh,
all
wow.
had 2 jobs. All,
Right.
all had to go halves in their cars.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They understand that you got to work and you got to appreciate the value.
And so as you're starting to scale, the Gold Coast has been, we're talking, let's say I'd say we've doubled in population the last 10, 15 years. We're now 700,000. You're starting to really open up a market. As you start to accumulate these other brands and the strategies behind them and the people that you start to bring in, the executives, whether it be local, interstate, just talk to me about the access to key personnel in on the coast around that time. Did you have to bring in?
It's a good question. We actually developed a model long ago because you didn't have the talent on the coast that you have now, and you didn't have the ability to attract the talent that we have now. I think that has completely changed. Well, we see it. People are knocking the door down to come to the Gold Coast. It's not the other way around, where before that was a challenge. We also had a philosophy. We very rarely hired anyone from Brisbane.
Right. Why is that?
Because the commute will kill them eventually.
Yeah.
It's just too grinding. We always made it. We did that a number of times.
No matter how much they tell you, I can do it.
Yeah. They can't. And it's cruel to them. So our view was they had to relocate within 12 months or else it wasn't a long-term partnership. Secondly, we wanted people embedded in our community, and they could only do that by living here, belonging to the schools, the associations, the groups. We took a really deliberate strategy from about 2000 onwards, and that was to embed ourselves in the community and to recognise the importance of people, and that you have to give back into your community if it's going to support you. And that's from grassroots right through to, the top tiers.
What are some examples?
So we would sponsor little local sports clubs, bowling clubs, ones that we could interact with and engage with to really be recognised as a member of the city that wanted to contribute and felt that if we were asking for people to support our business and buy from us locally, then we needed to support equally back into the community. So
it's really underestimated approach, isn't it?
So that became far more valuable to us than mainstream media, and it actually eclipsed mainstream media.
Did it?
Yeah.
In terms of a return?
100%.
Wow.
Yeah, we became deeply embedded because of the different associations that we're involved with. But aside from committing funds, we committed time. So before we would look at a school partnership, carnival or local swim program or whatever, we needed to make sure that one of our staff was engaged with that club or organisation, because that was important. So we've always done that for a very long time, and I think that helped embed us in the city and people to understand that we were a family business wanting to work with their families. Back to your question about people, we've always tried to develop internally. And we embarked, it sounds like really basic stuff now, but back then, around the same time.
So 2000?
Yeah, my husband and I, we did we engaged NPS, which no one knew what it was then. Yeah, it was like, and we copped a few, knocks on the nose when we asked our staff what did they really think of us, and they could tell us anonymously. It was like, oh, this is awful. Yeah. And we were quite kind of blind to it then, really simple things that we could fix that we just weren't aware of. And it's not because we lived in a glass house, it's just people didn't want to be that open with you. So we went on a bit of a roadshow around all our sites and literally had town halls and addressed everyone and said, this is what you think of us. It's pretty crappy. And this is the good stuff we're doing. This is the really bad stuff we're doing, and we're going to fix it. And we're really sorry. And we commit to do better, because in our view, if we weren't looking after our staff, which quite frankly are our first-line employees, our first-line customers, how could we ask them to look after our customers if they weren't happy? So that was our focus was not so much our customers. That would take care of itself if we looked after our first customer, our staff member.
So you reinvested back into the culture.
100%.
As in, would you say, let's say up to 2000, that culture, culture in business was something that was just there. It was never really
Understood.
And no one was driving it. It's a very American thing, to say, you build a really strong work culture and these are the values that you buy into. And I think around the early 2000s is when it sort of started to develop in Australia. Is that sort of the same time for you guys?
I think you're right. And I don't think we'd ever set out what was our purpose, like genuinely, what are we doing? What do we want to be? Do we just want to flog cars all day? That doesn't sound really inspiring. Or do we really want to have an impact on people's lives? And literally looking at it through the lens of, this car's really special. This is bringing home their first newborn. This is taking them to start their new job. This is their first major investment. What it means so many different things to different people. This is the car they've dreamt about all their careers, and they've finally delivered it. So many different experiences, starting a business, the first truck they went off and purchased. So for us, it was about understanding that. But again, back to the employees and appreciating, I think, the most critical thing for any staff member is to know their career path and their opportunity to progress and to develop. I think, anyone can walk in and match salaries. It's actually what you're going to invest in that person to develop them and give them a career path. That's number one. Number two is making work fun. We spend so many hours there. Unless we're doctors, I always used to say, we're not saving lives, kids. Let's just have some fun. Yeah. It's not a complete disaster.
Very true.
Yeah, whenever things go wrong, I just think, we've got to maintain our sense of humour. And how lucky are we to be living here, having these opportunities to work in great businesses like this. We're fortunate. So, yeah.
And during these times, yourself and Brett, when did you marry?
96.
96. So you're 4 or 5 years into a marriage. And would you pinpoint a time in the business where you thought, wow, we're scaling, or we're either growing or we're on the verge of, something really great in terms of a period of time? Can you?
I think no.
Like a prosperity?
I think it was just happening all the time.
Which is growing constantly.
And you don't really have time to sit back and think. When you're running a big business and you think the car brands, they're like your silent business partners. So you're working with them very closely every step of the way. It's not really your own business. So when you look at a car business, this is what's so interesting about it. You've got a distribution business, you've got a parts supply business, you've got a finance business, you've got an accounting business, you've got a sales business, a marketing business, an engineering business. There's so much in it that you have to be across, apart from developing your people, looking at where you're growing next, noting where the areas that are showing the most growth, how you keep your competitive edge. I mean, motor industry now, the average returns are 1.5% margin.
Wow.
So there's not a lot of room for error when you think about that.
Is that all?
Yeah, minimal. It's a very tough. And Australia is considered the most competitive car market in the world. Because
why is that?
Well, our population base, I think, is around 26 million now, and we have more car brands in this country than any other country in the world for one of the smallest populations. So
right?
they're all fighting for market share.
Right.
So America doesn't have the range of car brands that we have.
Yeah. And so is that do you welcome the competition as a business owner, or do you necessarily start to say it's become too saturated? I mean,
I think it has.
Yeah.
I welcome the competition. I mean, I think competition is healthy. But then I think when competition comes at such a cost where you see businesses going broke, then
Yeah.
I don't think it is.
yeah.
I don't think it is.
I mean, there's brands today that, I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
Mainly sort of Chinese. I mean, the EV markets. I mean, I think it started with a bit of a bang. It's cooled off a little bit in the last year or two. But there's brands popping up that
everywhere.
I've got, no idea. And are they looking to those major dealerships to deliver those brands?
Yes, they are. They absolutely are. So I think motor industry is going through an evolution itself at the moment. Things are changing. The way we buy cars is changing. But I think at the end of the day, people still want to deal with people. And one thing we always followed, that you can buy your car wherever you want. You can go buy whatever you want from whoever you want. The difference will be the personal interaction.
Yeah.
And how we treat people. And that's what it comes back to. And I think that will always...
And afterwards.
Yeah.
And afterwards, yeah. I think that's also really important when purchasing cars, the after sale.
1,000%.
Whether it's the annual or twice a year servicing, I think that's really important too, where you can deliver that after sales, where you're not just forgotten about. I mean, I've bought a car from Frizelle's before, and I can say that the thing that stood out to me was that after sales process.
Thank you.
It wasn't a come in, we'll sell you a car and you'll never hear from us again. And I think that's probably the thing that stood out for me the most. I remember I was 2003. My parents were up here on a holiday. They were staying at Versace. I was driving past and there was a yellow Jeep in the
Yeah.
Jeep Wrangler in the
Yes.
thing, and I drove past and I said, I have to have that.
That would have been down on Marine Parade in
It
Main
was.
Street. Yeah.
And I drove past and I said, I have to have that car. My parents were up here and I pulled in, I was on my P's, and I said, my parents are staying, can I take the car over and can I show my dad the car? And he said, yeah, no problem. He just came in, signed me up, gave him a license. I took the car over. I pulled up at the Versace hotel. I rang my dad. I said, come out the front. So he's come out the front. He said, what the fuck's this? I had the roof off. I had the Jeep. I said, this is a new Jeep. I had one a few years earlier, and it's a yellow. I said, I have to have the yellow. Anyway, he was up here for a few days. I finally talked him into it, but that was the car that I bought, a yellow Jeep Wrangler, and
Cool car.
And it was that after sales. I was up here at uni at the time, so.
You sound like you're a great little Aussie battler. You're at Versace and getting a new Jeep Wrangler.
Well, I was a uni student. I was a uni student at the time. But let's fast forward a little bit. So you've now developed as, let's say, one of the most prominent, well-known business leaders on the coast. And you just mentioned to me actually earlier that you're on the board of Racing Queensland, and board positions, they come with not only responsibility, but they also come, they take up a lot of time. And I do know you're on a couple of boards. What are you on at the moment?
I've actually reevaluating that at the moment since taking the full ownership of the Titans, because I want to make sure I've got the time. But if I go back a step, when I stepped out of the motor dealership full time, you go from working 50 to 60 hours a week to saying, now what?
What do we do now?
Yeah. And when you used to, and I've just been a worker. I am a worker. You're either built a worker or you're not. No, my husband's wrapped if I'm busy because it keeps me out of the shops.
Right. Okay. It's cheaper.
It's way
cheaper
cheaper
if you're busy.
Don't leave me wandering the streets.
Yeah.
I then thought, and I was already sitting on a couple of boards. I'd already been on the Titans as an independent chair back from 2014. So I was already sitting on there. I've always been on Life Flight for quite a long time because my father was a rescue helicopter volunteer for them.
Okay.
And they very generously asked me not long after he passed away whether I'd come onto the board. And I know what a difference that organisation makes for Queenslanders and how critical it is. So I was already, but they're not, Life Flight is not terribly taxing in terms of time, etc. So that's great. So I sit on Life Flight. That I'm the Deputy Chancellor of Griffith University. I've had a long association with Griffith and love working with that incredible university and what it's doing in our own backyard. Again, speaking to the Gold Coast and just what's happening here is extraordinary.
Isn't it? What they're doing up there is phenomenal.
It really is. Racing Queensland, I was asked by the former sports minister the other year, 2 years ago, to come on to Racing Queensland, which I accepted to do and very honoured to do so. I've recently stepped off Paralympics Australia after 6 years, which I loved. And it will always be a part of my heart. But in order to do the Brisbane 32 Olympics and Paralympics organising committee, I had to be an independent director, which meant I had to step off Paralympics. So, and obviously I'm a very proud board member of Experience Gold Coast.
Not much shopping gets done then, I'm
Not
tipping.
Much, no.
With all that. And
I'm
the
online
Titans.
now. I'm getting a lot more efficient.
Okay. And the Titans, of course. Let's stick with the Olympic Games.
Yes.
I think we're going to have we saw it in Sydney, that run up to Sydney 2000. I thought there was a lot of prosperity that came, putting that city under that microscope for only those 2 weeks. But Sydney had a really great bump off the back of Sydney 2000 property prices, sort of exposure to the world. What are you thinking with Brisbane as we lead in? We're only, 8 years away, more or less, 7 years?
I think it's an absolute opportunity for southeast Queensland, and more broadly Australia. I think 2000 were arguably the world's best games, but I genuinely believe look what just happened on the weekend in Brisbane with the Broncos, the NRLW Broncos, the Lions with the AFL. I think it's Queensland's time. And I think the prosperity the Games are going to deliver to bring that spotlight onto Queensland is an advertising budget could never deliver the marketing that's going to deliver. If you think about, if I look at it through the lens of, the marathon and where that's going to take place, the triathlon, featuring on the Sunshine Coast and the Gold Coast and looking at those iconic venues, the eyeballs watching that around the world will be quite extraordinary. I think having Australians celebrating being Australian and our warm and welcoming attitude is, we can't underestimate the power of people and how delightful that is. I was up at Toowoomba on Thursday and Friday looking at, because they're hosting the equestrian, and we're out at the Toowoomba Showgrounds. And they are truly authentic, beautiful, colonial facilities.
Aren't they?
And you sort of think, people were saying up there, not us, how will this compete with Versailles? With the chiselled out pond and it's hundreds and hundreds of years old. Yeah. And you kind of go, actually, it's got no problems. This is so iconically beautiful in its own right and so Australian, there's nothing for us to worry about. And I think that's going to be the feeling as we go from venue to venue. And one thing we are is a very welcoming country. We're a welcoming people. We love our sport. We love our home. And I think Australia's really going to shine, particularly Queensland, for those games. And I think we haven't thought about the opportunities. I mean, we have, but the scale of it is so enormous. And also where it's going to be technology-wise, AI, how we're going to interact with the games in 7 years' time. I think it's going to be quite incredible.
And the Gold Coast will be a beneficiary, no doubt. Legacy projects off the back of the Olympics. Tom Tate was speaking only a couple of days ago about the new facility at Southport, new event centre that looks like it's been rubber stamped and will be up and running by 2030. Which I think would be great for Southport. I think Southport,
it needs it.
I think for a strong Gold Coast to exist, there needs to be a strong Southport. I think that'll bring bring Southport back to a destination, which I think is important. In terms of, is there anything on the back of, from a rugby league perspective, that you can see benefiting out of the infrastructure projects of Olympics?
I'm sure all the stadiums like Suncorp, they've already announced, will be upgraded. That's not an area that Brisbane 32 works in. That's for GECA, which is the Games Authority overseeing infrastructure. But definitely I think we're going to see all our facilities get a mini facelift, so they're all ready to go. But if you look back to the Commonwealth Games and the legacy that left for the Gold Coast, that's been extraordinary, what the Gold Coast benefited from. And the facilities that were built, as our Mayor probably alluded to, are already over capacity now. And I don't think that was expected to happen so early. The other thing I would talk about is that leading into these games, we already have a legacy project and a legacy strategy outlined through to 2042. By comparison, Sydney hadn't done, and it's no criticism to Sydney, they openly say this, we never had a legacy plan. It wasn't a focus, where this has had a very deliberate focus from the government to ensure that there's a long-lasting legacy. And these facilities aren't being built for the Games. They're coming because we need them, and that'll be the legacy long term. And I think you find that the Games are the impetus to get it done, and it needs to happen.
Yeah, totally. Couldn't agree more. If we're talking, we're talking on sport, let's keep it rolling, and we'll talk about the Titans, the Gold Coast Titans. How did you get involved in the beginning? You were part of the initial. Were you part of the initial application for the licence?
No. So we started, back to that community piece, we decided to sponsor the club.
I see your sponsor early?
In 2006, their first year before they kicked their first ball in 07. We signed on in 06 and thought this is an opportunity. My husband's always followed rugby league, as has my father-in-law, but I hadn't. And at the time I was running our Audi business and saw it as an opportunity to promote Audi on the Gold Coast, because Saab was more popular than Audi.
Really?
Yes.
All right.
I know. We weren't doing our best, I can tell you. Yeah, Audi
Saab.
was
I haven't heard that brand
forever.
Since 2006, probably.
Yeah, correct. And so our German partners were getting very angry that
I bet they were.
Australia was not doing the right thing by the brand, and we all needed to get focused. And I thought, well, the Titans are bigger than Audi at that time. What better way to promote the brand? And that's how we ended up going on board and started out as an inaugural sponsor.
Do you remember what you sponsored? Do you remember, was it?
Yeah, we gave 17 cars a year, flipped them every quarter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was across A4s, A6s and Q7s.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so.
Wow.
And that was how we started with the team. And it really worked for us from a commercial point of view. Yes, it was an expensive sponsorship, but in terms of getting what we required in market share and growing the brand, it well and truly delivered. And that was the changing point for us and for Audi. And we would never have invested in building that facility that we did in Southport, which is quite a...
Is that right?
Yeah. It just totally changed.
Did that become your most prominent brand?
Yes.
Audi?
Yeah.
Your most profitable?
Yeah, where everyone used to think it was the Olympics car.
Yeah, yeah.
And like,
Really?
it's 4 rings.
Right. True.
So honestly, we used to have people coming in saying, "Where can I buy an Audi?" I was like,
Really?
"Oh." Yeah. So we had it really did genuinely propel the brand for us.
Right.
So we're very grateful for it at the time. Then in 2013-14, I think it was, I was asked. There was 3 shareholders of the Titans. And it was Michael Searle, Darryl Kelly, and a fellow called Anshuman Magazine. And they needed an independent chair because of the 3 shareholders.
Right.
And asked, because I'd had this long association with the club, whether...
So you'd sponsored all the way through? Once you
Yes.
started, you guys were on board?
Yeah. Loved the club.
Right.
Kind of gets under your skin like that.
They hit the ground running. The Titans.
They did.
They had their first season team, obviously established NRL players. They had that ground wall of support, and I think the first 3 or 4 years even were really, really strong. So you stuck solid.
Stuck solid.
I think 2010 or 11, the wheels started to fall off the team a little bit, but you stuck solid.
Stuck solid.
Yeah.
It became very challenging sometimes, and I'm sure our long-lasting members and fans would agree with that. Sometimes it's tough to love, but when you believe in something and you know it's got all the right intentions and the right foundations, you do stick with it. And I think when you follow sport, you look around the world, there is heartache and love, passion, excitement in every team.
Yeah.
And that's part of being an avid sports follower. Yeah. That's part of why you're involved. It's that roller coaster of emotion.
And so in 2013 or 14, you're invited to
chair the board. Never done that before. Was absolutely terrified and thought, I don't even know what end of the field they're running down.
So is that right? You were pretty much a novice to league?
Yes, I'd been involved commercially, but not into the game. Right. And I remember the 3 shareholders said, that's okay, we don't need someone that's got the game knowledge, that's kind of covered. So it was a really big learning curve for me. But I was very scared to do it, and I remember thinking, why am I saying yes to this? I'm automotive-based, I'm not football, etc. But the more research I did, the more I thought, you know what, and at that time everyone was bagging the team, they were really at a low point, etc. And I thought, well, I can either keep kicking it from the sidelines because I was angry as well as a supporter and fan, or I can shut up and get involved and try and help. And that was probably the motivator. And do that, and there's risk in doing that from a director's responsibility. But I felt passionate about it. And again, it's such an important part of our city. That club is vital to our city.
I couldn't agree more.
And so that's what was my driver. And I was really scared. And I think that was a personal learning for me, that always move out of the comfort zone, get in the ugly zone, the scary zone, because you'll really grow as a human. And yeah, it's a good opportunity to grab.
And do you think the experiences at the dealership and the growth of the dealership, did you take any of those learnings over to the Titans?
Absolutely.
What did you, anything in particular?
Understanding financials is key.
Right.
Understanding people and behaviours is key.
I would have thought people is something that you would say. Yeah,
those are the 2 key things. And what I've learnt over the time, it doesn't matter what industry we're in, football, cars, whatever, it all comes back to people. It's all people behind them, and it's how we care for our people and what we deliver for our people. So that's taken me quite a period of time, and to realise that that's the same in a rugby league club, exactly the same. So it's certainly been a journey. So I went from being the independent chair to the point of then having to put it into voluntary administration when some of the shareholders, Darryl Kelly remained on board and ready to continue to fund it, but I couldn't get agreement from all the funders to do so, and the NRL was propping it up at that point. So we reached...
was that 2015?
Yeah. As a board, we made the decision to move it into voluntary administration. And
was that to shake it up? Was that to force a result?
No, we just weren't solvent.
Right. So you had to bring in an external...
administrator, and then the NRL took ownership of the licence.
Right, okay.
All the creditors were paid 100 cents in the dollar, but it was a reset as well, and that needed to happen.
So a chance to start fresh.
Rebuild
the organisational culture?
Organisational culture, but we also... Well, yes and no, because we had challenges with the stadium at the time. There was... and this isn't a private matter, this was all publicised back in the day. The stadium deal that was originally struck under the former ownership was just, you could rent the MCG or Allianz Stadium for less than what we were paying for the stadium at Robina. So it was just not a financially viable...
Far out.
Terrible. So that was one of the legacy items that went with it, which was a good thing, and we were able to restrike some more commercially sound deals under the ownership of the NRL. They owned us for a period of 2 years, a difficult time, because what people saw from the outside was, wow, the NRL owns them. But the fundamental difference between the NRL and the AFL have disequal funding, which means when a club is starting out, or if it's a club in a difficult area or a competitive area, they can give more funding to that club to support it, to ensure that it gets market share.
Right.
Rugby league doesn't have that. It has equal funding. So it doesn't consider what area, or if you're a startup or you're up against big competitors, you get the same.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and it
Wow.
doesn't. Yeah, so that is a frustration from our game's point of view, that's the way it's set and that's the way the constitution is. So if you can imagine, when we're being funded by the NRL, you've got at that time 15 other clubs going, listen, give them just barely enough to stay alive, because that's our money. And I get that, because that's what it says. So the club was running very, very lean. Like, it had no money to invest in people or do what it needed to do while it was under the ownership. And I'm not ungrateful for the NRL's ownership, because it kept the licence on the coast, which was really critical to us.
Do you think it was close to leaving?
I know it was.
Really?
Yeah, and they
Did they shop it around, essentially, do you think?
Well, when they announced they were taking it to market, Daryl Kelly and Joe Kelly came to Brett and I. Daryl had remained on the board after losing an enormous amount of money the first time round, and he said, I really want to do this again. Are you mad?
Wow.
Are you mad? No. And he said, but I don't want to do it alone. I'd like you guys to do it with me. And we're like, I don't really think we own a rugby league team. Call me crazy. Anyway, you know what? You can't help but love it. And we saw the risk of it leaving the licence. We saw people making bids for it, because if you can imagine, they hadn't announced the Dolphins licence then, or the Ipswich bid, or any.
Sure.
Yeah, so those clubs were lining up to get the licence. It was the quickest way to get one, to buy it and take it. And so,
how long did you sort of think about that decision?
not long.
Like days, weeks, days?
Days.
Really?
Yeah, it just went in for a penny, in for a pound.
Right.
So,
okay.
And off we went.
Right. So that was 2017.
Yeah, end of 2017. So they delayed the announcement, and it was a very competitive, very tough process. And I think we got announced November 17. So the club was in a period of uncertainty until then. The first period of time was about what people couldn't see was investment going into the club, because it had had nothing spent on it for so long. So it was, again, a bit like a startup. But
So did you have to buy the licence again,
You do,
essentially?
yes.
So you had to repay for the licence.
then you have to
And then
guarantee
you-
the operation of it, and then
Right.
you have to
Spend
commit-
money on it.
Yeah, have to
Essentially.
invest in it.
Wow.
And so that's where we started all over again. And no disrespect to our people around us, but we're competing with a publicly listed venture up the road in the Broncos, who are a terrific organisation, but, you know, they're owned by the Murdochs, and ASX listed the balance.
Yep.
And then we're up against the AFL, another billion-dollar organisation in our backyard in the sun. So it's a very competitive landscape to be competing in. And so we've got to be on our game every time we get up.
And the Gold Coast, you know, it's had its challenges with not just the NRL, but other national leagues, whether it be basketball, even the AFL until probably this year and last year, just in terms of engagement. And it's the Gold Coast has been always a place where it's, I follow the Titans or I'll follow a certain team, but I won't necessarily go watch. I won't necessarily buy a membership. You know, there's no real sort of skin in the game from the community. When I say not real, but en masse. You know, over. I'm talking generalisation here.
I would agree with you normally.
But I think it's changed. I'd love to hear your response.
Sorry to cut you off, Sterling. I would agree with you, but not anymore.
Yeah.
I am so thrilled with the support that our club receives all the way from our, you know, top corporate sponsors right through to our fans, our members. You know, these people commit every single year. Year on year, we've got growth in membership. Year on year, growth in our corporate revenue, sponsorship revenue, attendance at games. We're in top 4 in many categories commercially across the game. And when you think of the size of the clubs we're up against, with one of the smallest regions, we're really knocking it out of the park. And when we deliver the on-field performance, to me, I just get so excited thinking about that opportunity, because all of us would agree our on-field performance hasn't been where we've wanted it to be, and I think the players would be the first one to put their hands up. Yes, we've had some unlucky calls, but so has everyone. That's how the game goes. But to me, it shows the appetite of what is possible. You know, when we're, I think, top eight or top 6 sides for game attendance.
Really?
Yeah. And you
Wow.
look at where we're sitting on the ladder. That's extraordinary. And
Yeah.
when I spoke to our commercial team last year, they said, Beck, the reality is we were selling membership coming 17th and we were still delivering really strong results. And that's not where we're going to be, and we commit that we're not going to be there anymore, which you'll see some of the changes that have been made across football. There's no denying we exist because of football. That's our first priority, and that's our focus.
How hands-on are you in the business now?
Now? Every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Really?
Yeah. So
And so in which departments are you?
I'm driving the mental in all of them.
Yeah, really? Okay. Yeah.
I did let everyone work from home yesterday.
Yeah. That's very kind of you in the off season.
Yeah, and it was Monday, public holiday.
Oh, of course. Of course. So you're on a mission. You're on a mission for the Titans to obviously climb the ladder, but also to increase, I guess, that true fan engagement, no matter where we are on the ladder as a club, as the Titans are on the club, and you want to attract players to the team.
Exactly. But the engagement that we have at the club is fantastic. Like our game day experiences are some of the best in the game, and we have away teams wanting to understand how we're doing it.
Right.
I want to say we had the Chicago Bulls come out and try and understand how we drive our membership and marketing, because it's so and to me that's such a testament to what they're doing. So for a small little club, we're kind of punching above our weight in a lot of areas, and we've got extraordinary people doing that, talented, good people. Our community programs are second to none. Our school program, our young girls rugby league program, our disability programs, our Indigenous Deadly Choices program. We're in a lot of areas for a small organisation that doesn't get government funding. We do it all under our own steam, but we're going to change that up. We're developing our high performance centre with the support of the city, which has been fantastic in allowing us the lease on the land. So we're going to get that underway.
Okay. And this is up at
Emerald Lakes.
At Emerald Lakes. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, we've got a fabulous site out there that will incorporate 3 NRL fields, as well as a absolute cutting edge high performance that'll facilitate our women's, our men's, and community teams that we'll branch into.
Right, okay.
We also have our 2 netball sides, Ruby and Sapphire. They're going to have an indoor court there to train on as well.
Wow.
Yeah, since we launched them 3 years ago, they've been in a grand final every single year, haven't missed it. They're incredibly competitive. Within the second year of our NRLW side, we competed in a grand final in Sydney, which is incredible. The girls went to the finals this year. So people that say, you know what, the culture's there not right or the winning's not there, oh, yes, it is. Absolutely it is. And we will deliver on the brand promise of success, and it's coming.
Well, let's talk about that. 2026, we've got a new coach.
Yes.
Titans have now signed Josh Hannay. What's he going to bring?
I think Josh Hannay brings, he's a Queenslander, which is the first time I think the Titans have had a Queensland coach.
Is that right?
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. He's a country boy from Moranbah. He has a passion for Queensland and rugby league. He's seen the highs and the lows. What I particularly like about Josh, and what Brett and I both liked about him, he's very engaging. He's a very good people reader. And again, it comes back to knowing your people. Apart from having the skills and the strategic understanding, his communication is first class. He understands also, being that much younger, what it's like to engage with people from a different generation. And I think I have enormous respect for Des and how much hard work he did. And we still was exchanging texts last week. We still get on great guns. He's a good man. Yeah, and he's a hard worker.
Yeah.
And there's no stone he left unturned. But I just think there's just a shift in people now. And we have
generationally, do you mean?
Yeah, I do. And I think we engage with
they
them
respond.
differently. They respond differently.
The kids are responding differently.
Definitely. His care level was through the roof, but I think just that engagement level is different. I think that's what we're going to see from Josh. Josh is an incredibly hard worker, very well regarded, and really wants to be a part of the team and backing Queensland. I think the success he brought in the rugby league State of Origin, and what he did for Queensland was extraordinary. I had a very lengthy chat with Billy Slater before we even interviewed Josh. I rang Billy and said, "What do you think?" And he said, "Beck, I'm telling you, I've never worked with anyone quite like him."
Wow.
Yeah, he said he's extraordinary. And he said he did 90% of the coaching of Queensland. He said,
really?
he said he did the strategies, he did it all. He said he's extraordinary. And he said, I compliment you for ringing me. He said, because no other club has rung me and I don't understand. He said, because he is excellent.
Wow. I mean, was he an absolute standout for you, or was it close in terms of selecting another coach? It was just yourself and Brett that made the decision this time, right?
Oh, no, we have a board.
Oh, you have a board. Right.
And a chair, yeah.
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah. No, we had a really good discussion with Josh. And we see Josh being with our club, long term and being a part of it. He's coming in as our head coach, obviously, in about 3 weeks' time when the season cranks back up again. Can you believe?
Yeah, I know. I know. I was just
exhausting.
Only saying earlier, I think even after the Four Nations, I think that wraps up in November sometime.
Well, our financial year kicks off again on November 1.
Number
We're
one,
like,
yeah.
oh my goodness, off we go. So, we're looking forward to getting Josh into the club and the system. He'll be a great addition.
And what about players-wise? From your team's perspective?
Yeah, fantastic.
There's a couple of prominent positions probably need to be filled. Is that something that's on the horizon?
Yeah, absolutely it is. And I mean, the appointment of Scott Sattler has been terrific to the club. Scott Clark started with us today, who was formerly with the Titans some years ago, and he's been up at the Dolphins since. He wanted to make a return to his team.
Very good.
And then obviously now that we've got Anthony LaFranking overseeing recruitment, a fantastic player there. Got Kieran Florin doing some training.
I saw that.
Specialist training as well around the spine. We're putting together a tremendous side and a lot of football knowledge in there. That football, I think the club in the past has been criticised sometimes for not having enough football knowledge. I think we're now over-indexing in that area, which is a good place to be, given that is why we are there.
Yeah. And do you think if you were to put a timeline on, the next 5 years to say the next 7 years, let's use those Olympic Games as a bit of a marker. What does success look like for the club?
Consistent success. So I think you absolutely at a minimum have to be top 8 consistently as a minimum. I think by 2030 we made a commitment that we would achieve grand final success, and we absolutely will. As with our NRLW, we've already appeared once. We didn't get the chocolates, but we'll go back again, and we played finals again. NRL, we absolutely have the ability to do it. We have the squad in many areas to do it. We need to make a couple of changes, and we'll do those. But that hasn't deviated. Our strategic plan sees us winning by 2030, and I can't see why we can't. And we're putting those steps into place, and that remains our focus. We are living and breathing the end goal.
How good. Do you think the top 8, we're going to bring in now another 2 teams. Is PNG, is that confirmed? Has that been confirmed? Yeah. So PNG and Perth Bears. The top 8 now is going to become obviously 2 spots harder.
Yeah.
And this year, I think the top 7 was all bar concluded until last round. The Roosters scraped in on that last position. Do you think there needs to be any changes to the top 8? Should there be I've seen a couple of plans mooted where there's a bit of a shootout between 9 and 10. There's a top 6, and does there need to be some changes because you've got 20 teams, 8 positions?
I don't think. To me, I think you test it and see how it goes.
Yeah,
and then see what that looks like. Because really,
NFL do it.
Yeah, I know.
They do a shootout.
Yeah, they do. But to get at the moment the top 8, it's kind of like
now it's 50-50. Yeah.
So,
but when you bring 2 more teams,
you've got to be 50% of the bottom or 50% of the top. Like to me, that's not a huge stretch. You want to be in the top 50%. That's a pretty big delta, I would have thought.
Yeah,
we haven't been there, but we're going to be there. And the game does get tougher. How do we feel about talent? Well, this is where I think we're lucky that we're the Gold Coast. do you want to go to PNG or do you want to go to Perth or do you want to be on the Gold Coast? I know what I'm answering.
I know what I'm answering as well. With the addition of PNG, there's chat around potential tax breaks and tax incentives. What are your thoughts on that?
I struggle. I understand why they're doing it. I struggle with it because to me, I think it's potentially adding another 50% on the salary cap.
That's what I would have thought.
Yeah, that the other clubs don't have, that we don't have. So I think they have to be very disciplined with that. That's being offered by the PNG government. I think then the players must live there. It has to be fair. And that's, if they do, then that's the sacrifice. And that's why you get paid tax-free dollars. If you're not and you're being based outside of there for an extended period of time, then that should go. But I'm sure our friends at the ATO will be keeping a close eye on that.
I'm sure they will as well. I'm sure they will. Beck, we'll finish off with some quick fire questions, if you will. We'll have a little bit of fun. Has there been a mentor, I don't know, you did mention James Frizelle, but has there been a mentor that's had an impact on your career?
I wouldn't talk...
Not so much even person, just someone that you don't have to have a personal relationship with.
I think your parents have a big impact on you, and mine were as different as you could get, but both of them in their own way instilled in me the benefit of hard work, of being grateful. And I genuinely mean grateful in terms of if I'd go home, my mum was one of those mums that would say, don't come back until it's dark and get outside. And if we ever said we're bored, we'd nearly get murdered.
Really? Is that right?
Oh, yeah. Wow. She was like, what are you bored for? Out. And you wouldn't be allowed to come home till it was dark. And
Really? Yeah, right.
Yeah. But
it's different today.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's kind of sad. And we'd ride our bikes around the streets or play matchbox cars until literally the street lights came on and then we went home. But she always taught us to be grateful. That mum's thing that we were able-bodied and we were fit and we were well. My dad, he was a fighter pilot all his life and travelled to, many war zones, taught us how lucky we were to have been born in Australia. He said, you kids have won the lottery of life before you even started. He said, so don't waste it.
Do you agree with that?
100%. We absolutely have. We have won so much by being born in this country with so much opportunity. And that's kind of how we've raised our kids. If they ever whinged, mate, they copped it because they have so much to be grateful for. And I truly believe that the opportunity to be able to live with freedom, to voice our opinions, to study, to work, to do what we have, to move freely around our own country, we're so far ahead of so many others it doesn't matter. And I know that might sound corny or naff, but if you live by that as a starting point, it really resets your thinking when you approach things. And as I go back to when I'm sitting in that stadium and we lose a game and I can be sitting there just heartbroken, and then I think, no, what a privilege to sit here and watch this game. What a privilege to be here. No, we get forward and we move forward and reset and off we go again.
It's definitely a more productive way to look at things, especially when you're referring back to watching the game. I remember, you sounds like you wear your heart on your sleeve, especially with the team. And I remember being at, I think it was the last game of the season. We were up in the Palladium room, and I remember you came on stage and spoke to the sponsors. And I thought at the time you were quite vulnerable and you were very open in the way that you spoke to sponsors who have been there some of them from day one, and obviously some have come along the way. I thought it was very moving. I thought it was quite powerful for you to open up the way that you did. And, it was very much I think it came across that that those in the room could buy into your belief and buy into what was coming. So I remember sort of leaving, and I thought that was I don't think you'd see many owners of an NRL team sort of fronting a stage like that, or sponsors like that, and saying those words that you did. So
I appreciate you saying that, Sterling. I think it comes from having been a sponsor and more recently a member. And I guess I want to be honest, really honest at all times as much as I can be. I mean, obviously we can't talk about some of the ins and outs all the time, what's going on in the background. But my view is we have made mistakes. We have to own those mistakes. We've done them with the best of intentions, and we're going to continue to make mistakes. We'll
It's the only way you learn.
Yeah.
By the way.
We'll try to minimise those, but we're human.
Yeah.
I want people to understand we listen. We do take on board your feedback. We may not always act on it because it may not be the appropriate feedback, but we're not arrogant enough or naive enough to think that we know all the answers. We certainly don't. And we also have great respect for the support that's given to our team. And we really value that. And I just want to be honest about that. From whether you're buying your seasonal ticket, your game day ticket, your corporate membership, or your sponsorship package, it matters, and it matters a lot. And we would never underestimate that nor take it for granted. And so the door is always open. I love speaking to our fans and members. I do sneak into the fan pages under...
Oh, do you? You got a burner account?
And then I run out of there again because I get so scared. No, but I love... And people said, do you get offended by that? And I went, no, because that passion shows me people care.
Yeah.
It's when they stop caring, you start worrying. And I do find it funny how many teams from other clubs or how many people from other clubs are on the Titans page commenting. And I'm like, why aren't you on your own page?
Really? Is that right?
But yeah, I never comment though. But
Yeah, sure.
I would rather be as open and honest
Yeah.
as we can and as appreciative as we can be for the support. It matters. And, you know, when we're losing games, it's hard. I mean, you can then, when we lose games, we lose money. We're not in this to make money. We're in here to, whatever we make, if we do make, we reinvest into the club to make it stronger and stronger. And we're going to continue to do that till it is a hugely, wildly successful club. And that's what the Gold Coast deserves.
Yeah, I thought that was very well said. All right, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned the hard way? Doesn't have to be in any business.
That's a really good question. The hard one. I've learned so many the hard way. There's so many.
There's always, business owners they always learn the hard way.
I do.
So it's just the biggest one.
Probably to shut up and listen more.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes I think I want to go in with all guns blazing if I'm going in for maybe a difficult conversation or something that's going to be a little confrontational. I tend to want to fire first, so it's off my chest.
Right.
But I've actually realised that's just selfish me wanting to clear the air. I'm better off to listen because it'll often change how I'm going to respond.
Oh, interesting. And if you were starting over, what business would you build today? I'm tipping it wouldn't be a NRL team.
You are very sharp. I think, I don't know. I think it'd be something to do absolutely with people. I really don't know what it would be. I think I've had such a funny journey. I don't think it would be in corporate services or anything like that. It would be an entrepreneurial business. It would be people at its foundation. Maybe training and development in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That'd suit you?
Yeah, I'd love to. I love working with people. I am an extrovert and my older brother laughs at me. He's an introvert. He'd rather sit on a farm and talk to himself. He goes, like where you go and plug your batteries in by talking to 100 people and driving them nuts. And I do. I love people. I love being around people.
Oh, wonderful. And a lasting legacy. Have you thought about it?
I think it's pretty corny, but I think a couple, and no matter what we do, it's always leave it better than we found it wherever you can. Respect for people. I really believe in walking in someone else's shoes. We all make assumptions on what people are dealing with actually trying to figure out what is motivating for them to be responding or behaving that way, or just having a bit of compassion as to why they might be the way they are. I always think about that, and respect for others, just that basic respect. I see such a lack of respect sometimes, and I really struggle with that with people in general. You know, particularly you walk into restaurants or drive-throughs and see how people that are serving you are treated. That really bothers me a lot.
Yeah, I agree actually totally with that.
Yeah, I think it says says a lot about when I'm out with people, how they're treating the people serving them, because I think it's a privilege to be served by someone, whether it's a coffee or whatever it is. It costs you nothing. Good manners cost you nothing.
Yeah. Oh, very well said. Well, Beck, that wraps us up for
Thanks,
today.
Dylan. I've been terrified.
I think, look, it's been great to learn your story, and I can say the Titans are in safe hands.
Thank you.
And let's hope for a strong and prosperous 2026 for the team. All the best to yourself and Brett.
Thank you.
And we'll be watching on.
I hope at the stadium cheering on.
I will be.
That's great. Thanks
All right.
so much,
Thanks, Beck.
Sterling.
Thank
Good
you
luck
very
with
much.
the podcast.
Thank you.